Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Nerd Fights. This is where we take two competitors, put them in the ring, and find out who is the great debater when it comes to a certain subject matter. In this case, it's Nerd Fights. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I am your host. My name is Ryan, but I am not alone. We have a full judges panel with us here tonight. I'm going to introduce those judges now. Introducing, I guess, second, because I'm first on this one, would be Joe. Joe, how you doing tonight, my man? You can
I'm
unmute
doing
yourself
well.
now.
I
It's cool.
mean, I'm doing well. Excited for this match. Excited for these competitors. Nerd Fights is a great league, so I'm excited to see these guys just duke it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for being a part of this judges panel tonight. And also on the panel tonight, we have a man who has three different names, but I'm just going to call him the easiest one to pronounce. That would be Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing all right. Bar wasn't easier, but I'm doing pretty well. Excited to hear these arguments. This is not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I think that just makes me a more fair judge in this case.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this judges panel for this particular matchup. Going to go over to the competitors here in this match. Introducing first, we have Richard Schwartz. Richard, how are you doing tonight, and are you ready for this matchup?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I am ready. This is going to be a fun match. I think there's going to be a lot of name calling involved. And when I mean name calling, we're just going to be saying our names, Sean and Richard. So I'm looking forward to this fight. It's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. Let's keep it age appropriate here, right, folks? Keep it as a family show. Anyway, I'm just kidding. We're not that censored. At least I don't think so by the sponsors. But anyhow, Richard, your opponent tonight is going to be the one and only Sean Wasserkrug, aka JTE's little evil twin or just twin brother. Sean, how are you doing tonight? And nice shirt. I think I've seen it somewhere before, even though I'm not a wrestling fan anymore.
Well, it sucks you're not a wrestling fan anymore, and I'm not JT. I have hair.
Okay.
But, yeah, thanks, little boat. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. This is my first kind of like movie fights match. I usually just do straight up trivia, so I'm real excited about this. I know not a lot of people are giving me opportunities. I've seen all the posts saying that Richard's gonna beat me. So I'm real interested to get in here. I mean, we're friends, we're colleagues, we know each other outside of this. So definitely some name calling, and I hope it's not too PC because I tend to shoot from the hip, and whether or not it's cussing or any kind of terms, I'm gonna just go with it. Whatever it does to win the fight, I'm a master debater, and I'm ready to win this.
All right, sounds good, sir. Good luck to both competitors in this matchup. So, if this is your first time competing, or if this is your first time watching at home about nerd fights, this is how it's going to go. We have four predetermined categories with four questions in the main round. The main round is going to go as follows. Each competitor is going to have up to 90 seconds to make an opening statement. After that, they will have 5 minutes of just straight up debate about that particular question, duke it out, if you will. And then at the end of those 5 minutes, we're going to give both competitors a chance to make up to 60 seconds of a closing argument to wrap up their argument, the decision of why they chose what they chose for that particular question, wrap it up in a nice bow. And then we'll go to the judges panel and find out who gets the point. The first competitor to 3 points in this matchup will win. So that is how it kind of goes. If there is a tie, we will go to a speed round, but we can talk more about that later. Also, during the course of this matchup, if there's too much filibustering and there's too much over talking of each other, the judges, the lead judge, in this case, that would be me. I'm going to stop the clock. We're going to pause for 10 seconds as you quiet down. Take a moment to zen yourself, get yourself back into the zone. After those 10 seconds have passed, we will go back into the rest of that round of debating, and we will go from there. Also, to both competitors, you have the option to use a 1-minute extension, whether that be in the opening statement or the closing statement of whichever question we are on, but please let us know excuse me, ahead of time if you're going to use that 1-minute extension so we can add it to the clock, and we will go from there. Are the directions clear to both competitors, and are you guys ready to go?
Is the 1 minute per question, or is that just the entire match?
Nope, just the entire match. You can only use it once during the course of the match, so please, if you decide to use it wisely, and give us a heads up if you're going to use it or not. Does that make sense to both competitors?
Mm-hmm.
Understood.
Excellent, excellent. Alrighty. So we are going to go into question number 1. Now, I believe Joe is going to be keeping the time for these opening, closings, and debates. Are you going to be doing that for us, Joe? Is that a thumbs up I'm seeing on that monitor? Fabulous. Great. That means I don't have to pull out my smartphone and do it myself and multitask till my brain explodes. All right, so let's get comfortable, fellas. Your first question in this round goes a little something like this. The question is thus: what creatures from the old Toho films would you want Legendary Pictures to get the rights to fight Godzilla in the next film? So we are going to start with Richard. Richard, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and the time will begin once you start talking.
As we've seen from the previous Godzilla's films, Godzilla is the savior of humanity. We've seen Godzilla save humanity from 4 different monsters. So what we need right now is a monster creature that could somewhat tarnish that legacy. So that is why I am choosing the Millennium monster Orca. Orca has the ability to, when he bites into a monster, to mutate into him and to absorb that monster's abilities. Not only does he have those powers, he can shoot a cannon out of his left shoulder. He can spit a green ball plasma, and he's also can telepathically control his ship. So not only will Godzilla have to face Orca in a one-on-one with awesome powers, he has to deal with the ship. And we need a monster right now that can not only keep up with Godzilla, but can also inevitably tarnish Godzilla's legacies, because as of right now, Godzilla seems to be the hero of the people. And I will go more into that once we start fighting it out, and I concede the rest of my time.
All right. Thank you very much. And we are going to go over to Sean. Sean, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and that time will begin once you start talking.
So with Godzilla, I mean, he's a legend for a reason. For the past 70 some years now, we've seen Godzilla go up against numerous monsters left and right, and always defeating them one after another, sometimes with help, sometimes on his own. So naturally, we need to come up with a creature, monster, any kind of kaiju that can match the same levels of Godzilla, plus having a little bit extra to order to beat Godzilla at his own game. Clearly, in the previous film, King Ghidorah, who is usually pound for pound the best kaiju up against Godzilla, failed. So what is the next best thing? The next best thing is Godzilla himself. And not just flesh and bones Godzilla, but an actual robot version of Godzilla. And I am choosing Mechagodzilla to be the actual obvious answer for the next one in the kaiju series. Mechagodzilla can impersonate Godzilla. He can fight Godzilla just like Godzilla fights other monsters, but he has so much more assortments and abilities that Godzilla can't match, and anything that Godzilla can do to him, he can counter and revert back to Godzilla, and it is the ultimate foe to the point where Godzilla almost always needs help to beat him straight up. And in terms of today's franchises, the way the movies are right now, Mechagodzilla is the automatic go-to choice for the next film, not counting Godzilla vs. Kong, which comes out next year. You can't go wrong with
Time, my friend.
All right. All righty there. All right, now, gentlemen, you're going to have up to 5 minutes of just straight out duking it out, debate style. And Joe, once again, is going to be keeping time. He will let you know when time is up during the course of these questions and these rounds and the closings, the openings, yada, yada, yada. There's a million flavors. So without any further ado, those 5 minutes will begin when someone starts talking. Good luck to both competitors tonight.
I'll let you go first, Richard.
Okay. The problem with Mechagodzilla is the fact that there's been many versions of Mechagodzilla, but the best version that people want to see Mechagodzilla is the one that was created by the original Godzilla, the one that died, which as of right now, Godzilla has not died yet. So there's no way to make that Mechagodzilla, the one that everyone wants to see.
The original Mechagodzilla came from space. It was literally an alien race that created Mechagodzilla and actually gave him skin to look like Godzilla to basically run shop over the world, so everyone thought Godzilla had gone bad. Godzilla didn't necessarily die. He just needs to go away. And with the way the last film ended, with him basically nuking himself, it's easily a thing that you can actually go into that saying that Godzilla is gone for good. So that way, when Mechagodzilla shows up, people think it is the actual Godzilla, but it's not. It's this robot instead. You only find out that Mechagodzilla is Mechagodzilla and not the original Godzilla when Godzilla shows up and attacks his actual skin armor to see the actual plated armor underneath.
But the problem with that, though, is they haven't established that in the movies yet so far. As of right now, most of Mechagodzillas, it was created by man and humans. And you have to utilize that it would not be the Great Fight, because Mechagodzilla's one of his weaknesses is he has very limited power. Like, he can only sustain himself. He's a machine, for the most part. That means he can only go on for about 2 to 3 hours. And
limited power. I mean, 2 to 3 hours. A Godzilla fight doesn't go 2-3 hours. And based on how the way the last film ended, humans making Godzilla or Mechagodzilla is the ultimate choice. Orga, once again, is another alien race. It's a ship that literally comes down from another planet. The ship, first off, looks like a gigantic nose that basically just shoots snot or tentacle snots out onto things and kind of sucks up the data. It's not even a cool-looking monster, or at least Millennium is not a cool-looking monster, and it's kind of ridiculous looking in the first place, looking like a giant nose with snot shooting out. And then even when it shoots its plasma cannon from the ship, it basically just looks like it's sneezing on Godzilla the entire time. Mechagodzilla, even with his unlimited power, has an assorted moveset that is leaps and bounds better than anything Orga can actually give.
Those were the previous incarnations. We're going to talk about the current movies. They're going to make it look better. And besides, the original Mechagodzilla looked just as dumb as well. So you're saying that, like, our ship...
First off, in terms of revamping, that is one thing that Godzilla fans are very true to, is making sure things, while looking updated, still look true to the original predecessors. King Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, all of them, even though they're updated and revamped, they still look like the original characters from the previous Moto films. You completely revamping something as Orga or Millennium doesn't make it Orga and Millennium anymore. It makes it an entirely new creature. So you're going to have to still keep it kind of looking a lot like the original with just updated features. So you can't, and Mechagodzilla looked great as Mechagodzilla. It's a robot. It's basically another version of the Dragon Sword. So if you wanted like a Power Rangers type of film, Mechagodzilla versus Godzilla is the perfect variation of that.
Okay, well, the main problem with, so far, the monster movies that most of the people have, it's been people-oriented. Most of the time, it's been more the people interacting instead of the monsters. We want the two monsters battling out. If you're doing Mechagodzilla, you're going to have the majority of the movie be about the people, about who created Mechagodzilla, how do we defeat Mechagodzilla. And most of the likely, it's going to be the people who actually stop Mechagodzilla than actual Godzilla themselves. We want an actual fight-on-fight with monster-on-monster with as least human interaction as possible. And that is where Orca comes in. Orca is able, like I say, it's going to be a majority in a monster fight. Yeah, there's going to be some interaction with the people, but not as heavily as it would be for Mechagodzilla. And not only the fact that, in mine, he's going to bite Godzilla, He's going to bite Godzilla, take his form, and tarnish that legacy. And at the point, they're both going to go down. And then eventually, that'll be more of an inspiration to create Mechagodzilla in the next film.
First off, the humans fighting Godzilla, that totally makes more sense with the logical reasoning of what happened with the last film. There is an outside kind of basically militia race that is trying to get the monsters to destroy the world. So them creating a Mechagodzilla to take out Godzilla, who stopped their plans in the previous film, makes total sense. With Orca, let's talk about the biting thing, for instance. Let's talk about how the final battle went in Godzilla 2000. It literally was basically the only way to win was for Orca to basically open itself up. Godzilla
2000 is not canon in these films.
But Orca is only in Godzilla 2000. So for saying that it's not canon.
Exactly. That means we haven't had much interaction. Mechagodzilla has been... Oh, sorry. Go on.
But that means he's originally not... If you're saying he's not canon, then that means he's not part of the original Toho created monsters, which means that he's technically not one of those in that case.
Time, everybody. That is time on the round.
All right, that is the end of this round. Now we're going to go to closing arguments. Richard, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to wrap this thing up in a nice, I guess, I don't know, destroyed little bow. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you know the drill. Up to 60 seconds. Wrap it up for us. Clock will begin once you start talking, and go for it.
The question was, which Toho monster do we want to get the rights for the next Godzilla film? we're not talking about the previous films, just what monster from the Toho monsters that we want for the next film. Orga is the best choice. He is an alien who can not only assemble the same powers as Godzilla, but also tarnish his legacy. Mechagodzilla, as great as he is basically a machine. He has limited powers, limited energy. He can only go on for so long. Human interactions can be way too much more in this movie that we already don't need. It's supposed to be monster fight. Mechagodzilla, he does have limited powers, and the best Mechagodzilla that we want to see is the one that was created from the death of the original Godzilla, which Godzilla has not died yet. And, well, the point is, Orca has not been seen since Godzilla 2000, but that's even a better reason why we want to introduce this monster. Best thing is to introduce a monster we haven't seen in a long time. Mechagodzilla was in Ready Player One, so everyone is used to him.
Time.
All right, thank you, Richard. Now we're going to go over to Sean. Sean, you have up to 60 seconds to present your closing arguments, and the clock will start once you start talking.
You prove that you want to tarnish Godzilla's career, Godzilla's legacy. The perfect choice for that is the one that is basically acting and mimicking what Godzilla does. Watch Mojo did a ranking of top Godzilla villains. Mechagodzilla was number 2 behind King Ghidorah. Orga was an honorable mention. He's got very limited movesets. He moves very, very slowly. And literally the entire final battle was basically him going into Orga's mouth until he overblew and blew up Orga. With Mechagodzilla, he's got unlimited movesets. He's got Mega Busters to shoot from his mouth. He's got as powerful as Optics Blast. His armors can affect and reflect off of Godzilla to basically revert back to him. He's got Sonic Blasters. He's got missiles shooting out of his hands, his shoulders, his kneecaps, anything like that. He's got unlimited range attacks. He's got shields that protect from Godzilla. If Godzilla does get help from Moto, he can spin his head and attack multiple kaijus at the same time. Mechagodzilla is the best choice. It's the best option for the next films. And anything that they do to tarnish the legacy of Godzilla, you can only do it with Mechagodzilla because it literally is Godzilla, but in robot form.
Time. That is time.
That was fun.
All right. Right on the dot there. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for those closing arguments as well. It was a good debate, good opening statements as well. We're going to go to the judges panel. I will go ahead and start this one off for this question. Both of you guys brought up some interesting points about these creatures, why they would work for this film. But some of the reasons that Sean brought up just kind of put it over the edge for me, convinced me a little bit more about why this particular character would work for the next installment of the franchise. So in this case, I'm going to give my point to Sean, and now I'm going to go over to Joe. Joe, what are your thoughts on this? Who gave the better argument, and who's going to get the point in this one?
I'm also going to go with Sean for the point. A lot of the reasons you said kind of took the words right out of my mouth. He just gave a little bit more reasons and also brought up how Orga, I don't even know the name, was kind of could kind of be boring and not really interesting looking and was easily defeated, but Mechagodzilla would be more interesting of a character for Godzilla to go up against. So Sean's going to get my vote.
So with that being said, Sean does get the point for the first question. We're going to move on to question number 2, gentlemen. And question number 2 is thus: which villain of the Hulk do you feel needs to get their shot on something known as the big screen? So since we started with Richie Rich, we're going to switch things up, turn the knobs, go over to Sean. Sean, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and that clock will begin once you start talking.
So the main thing with the Incredible Hulk movies that we've seen so far, mainly the Incredible Hulk for keeping everything MCU, is that we see the exact same thing. Everything is Hulk smash, Hulk fighting something, punching something. And with Incredible Hulk, we saw that with the Abomination. So, I mean, unless you just want another Hulk film where he just punches and smashes stuff, you kind of want to do something a little bit different, something a little bit more unique. And that's why I chose the Leader. The Leader is kind of, if you're going to compare it to other villains, he's basically Hulk's version of like Brainiac meets Lex Luthor-ish kind of a character. He's a character that makes the Hulk have to do other things than just smash. And because of that, I feel like the Leader is the right transition for Hulk in the MCU franchise, and as well brings out a different kind of side of the Hulk instead of just punching things. And I'll give the rest of the time back.
Alrighty. Going to move on to Richard. Richard, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and that clock begins once you start talking.
The villain that we need for the Hulk and any other hero in the MCU is someone who has had the clear hatred and disrespect for the Hulk since day one. And that is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk. Thaddeus has been the enemy of the Hulk since day one, since the Incredible Hulk. He hated Bruce Banner for what he became. He hated Bruce Banner for his relationship with his daughter, Betty Ross. And what we need right now is Red Hulk. Red Hulk not only can go toe-to-toe with the Hulk, but Thaddeus also has the strategic mindset, this military mindset that can also keep up with Bruce Banner's intelligence. And I think that's going to make not only the most intriguing fight for the Hulk and the rest of the MCU heroes, but for even everything else. And that is why, again, I'm going to concede the rest of my time because I can't wait for this battle.
Someone is really eager over there in their corner of the ring, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, thank you for your opening statement. This is an intriguing question with two different choices. I am very intrigued to hear how this is going to go, folks. Now, remember, you're going to have up to 5 minutes of just straight-up debate. That 5 minutes will begin once someone starts talking, and if we had someone at ringside, I would tell them to ring that bell.
We lost Doug.
No, Doug doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Fine.
I mean,
I just noticed a screen went small. I'm like, wait a second, someone left. All right. Anyway, yeah.
Those 5 minutes will begin once someone starts talking. Good luck, gentlemen.
The problem with Thunderbolt Ross is that in the stasis of where the MCU is right now, he doesn't care about Bruce Banner and the Hulk. And you said that he's always upset because he's with Betty. He's not even with Betty anymore. Hulk's all about Scarlet Witch, even though she's technically dead now. Spoilers for Endgame. Or not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. He's a politician now. All he cares about is the Accords and all this stuff. He doesn't care about the Hulk anymore. So him being this vendetta against Bruce Banner is not a vital option in what's going on in the current MCU state. The leader is the logical choice based off of where we are in the MCU right now with the Hulk.
The problem with the leader is we've had a super smart dude with a big head before, and that was the villain of Green Lantern. And you know how well that worked out.
Not in the MCU.
It's the same similar villain that you're going to introducing right now with the leader. He is a guy with a giant head who's super intelligent, just like the villain from Green Lantern. And we know it did not work out in that movie. It's not going to work out in this one.
It will work out in this one because in the Green Lantern, he was just a fart cloud and he was poorly utilized. In the MCU...
That's Parallax. That's not who I'm talking about.
Okay, I'll let you have that one. But with him, he's got his own basically group called the Humanoids that he can use. So even in my movie, if you want a Hulk smash type scenario, he can smash up against the Humanoids. The best thing about the leader that makes this version of the Hulk's MCU right now is that more times than not, the Hulk needs to beat the leader by using Bruce Banner's smarts. And where the Hulk is right now, he's Professor Hulk. He's not fighting Hulk. He's not the Hulk that goes and smashes stuff. We saw that when they went back to the Battle of New York. He doesn't smash stuff anymore. We barely even saw him in the battle at the end of Endgame. And he's injured. They already said in there that he's going to have that arm injury from putting on the gauntlet for future installments. A matchup against the Red Hulk would not logically make sense because of where Thunderbolt Ross is and because the Red Hulk wouldn't match up properly with the current Hulk right now.
The problem is that's the Hulk we want. We want the Hulk to smash. We want the Hulk to be... We haven't had that Hulk. We've had it one time. That's the Hulk we want. That's the point of the Hulk, is Hulk smash. But we do have Professor Hulk. You're right. And we have the intelligence and the brawn. What better story to make Bruce Banner, a.k.a. Professor Hulk, to become that Hulk again would be Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. And yes, Betty Ross has not been a part of the MCU in a long time, but that is the best way. We want Betty Ross back. The true first and only love that Bruce Banner ever had. We want her back in. And how great of a...
One is asking for Liv Tyler to come back as Betty Ross, but continue.
We asking for the character Betty Ross. Yeah, I know a lot of people who want Betty Ross to come back. That is the Hulk's love interest. And what better way for Betty Ross herself to be struggled between Bruce Banner, her one and only love, or Thaddeus, her father, that conflict. And also you have Brain and Brawn going at it together at once, with Thaddeus with his military strategy and his strength, with Bruce Banner's intelligence and his strength. That would be a much better battle than the leader, which, by the way, Tim Blake Nelson was Samuel Stearns, who becomes the leader. And as great as Blake Nelson is, he's not the right fit. He wasn't very believable in the Incredible Hulk to be a super sciencey dude.
He didn't have a big... No, Samuel Stern is not a science dude. Samuel Stern is a janitor who gets hit with gamma radiation and then becomes a super intellectual person. He wasn't a scientist in the first place. He was a janitor. So Timberlake Nelson is perfect for that role. Plus, you're not giving Timberlake Nelson enough credit as an actor. He can totally pull off this performance. And even with Thunderbolt Ross, like I said, I don't care that Betty Ross is his one true love, and we already proved further that it's not his one true love anyway, because he was all about Black Widow in future installments. And you also said that we only got to see the Hulk smash once. What about Avengers, Age of Ultron, Thor Ragnarok? We've seen the Hulk smash plenty of times already. Let's see a different kind of Hulk, a Hulk that actually has to use the brains and actually has to coexist with Bruce Banner. And that is why the leader is the best option, because it becomes an intellectual game, something that we have not seen with the current
warning.
The problem with it has not worked. That's why they don't make more films. We need a different version of the Hulk, and that's what this is.
Well, the question is, who's going what should take on the Hulk in the movies? It's the whole MCU, and General Thaddeus Ross has more of a relationship with the other MCU characters than the leader has. Thaddeus, for Red Hulk, would be great to take on the Avengers, or Blakely, any of the MCU characters, because he's had a relationship with more MCU characters. The leader hasn't had any relationships other with the Hulk. It's not who should take on the Hulk in the next Hulk movie. It's who should be the villain in the big screen out of the whole MCU. And Thaddeus Thunderbolt will make better sense. Also, you're saying about he's a politician. Well, the fact that no one brought up the Abomination scene in Incredible Hulk, that could tarnish his politician career. That could make him go to the breaking point where he has to find a way to become.
Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. That was a debate, ladies and gentlemen of the audience and the judges panel. My gosh, that was some good stuff. But we still have closing arguments to go. Geez, if you were on the edge of your seat, just wait till this. Anywho, Sean, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to wrap this up and make it the biggest sell you have ever done in your life. Those 60 seconds are going to start when you start talking.
You talk about the Abomination incident affecting Thunderbolt Ross's career. Incredible Hulk was, even if we go by Endgame standards, like a decade ago. It clearly has not affected Thunderbolt Ross because of where he is in the current status of the MCU. Like I said, Red Hulk, you said, oh, he's got a connection with all the Avengers. Great, he does. But he also joins the Avengers at one point. So he's not necessarily a villain for very long because he becomes a part of the Avengers in comic book stories. So why would that be such a big point? He's going to come out and fight Hulk for one big scene, but then by the end of the movie, he's probably going to end up joining them at some point in a future installment. So he's not really a practical villain. He's just another guy who's overpowered who eventually joins the heroes at the end. And so he's not an ultimate villain. The leader stays a villain the entire time. He's never once sided with the Avengers. He's always going to be a villain. The Hulk's going to use his intelligence with Bruce Banner. It's going to be a different version of the Hulk, something we have not seen before, which is basically what the Hulk needs, is a kick in the butt to be something different and unique. And with Professor Hulk and his injury from Endgame, this is the right version and the right way to go with the Hulk.
All right. We are going to go to Richard. Richard, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to make your closing arguments, and those 60 seconds will begin once you start talking.
The problem with the leader is we have seen that villain before in the MCU. We've seen him in Iron Man. We've seen him in Captain America. We've seen him in Civil War. We've seen a lot of mathematical smart people in these movies. And the problem with the leader is it's going to be a whole lot of convenience like it was in Civil War. Turn events that would make the Hulk become, to make the leader super great. And we have seen a leader type character in Green Lanterns, and it did not work. It's not going to work in the MCU. What we need from the Red Hulk is someone who has a disdain for the Red Hulk, someone who we've seen in the MCU come back, that we want to see come back. We want to see Betty Ross to come back. We want to see a Hulk on Hulk effing fight. We've lacked that in Infinity War. We lacked that in Endgame. That's the whole point of the Hulk, is to smash, 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 and we have Professor Hulk with the intelligence. And how great of a movie would it be to take on Brains and Bronze versus Brains and Bronze with Betty Ross, who is the center of both of it, and see how...
Man, oh man, oh man, did we get super sweaty in here? I think the late, great John Schnepp would have loved to have sit in for this matchup, folks. I'm just going to point that out there. If you don't know who I'm talking about, watch the old Collider videos, watch some of his shows, because John Schnepp is a legend. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're here to discuss the question in the business at hand. And I'm ready off the floor that these nerds have just poured out. So I need to go to my judges panel and collect my own thoughts, because I'm just like, I'm out of my mind. Andrew James, who likes to hang out at bars. Andrew, please save us. Tell us who gets the point. What are your thoughts on this? What's going through your mind at this moment?
You had to go to me first for this one. Jeez. No, you're absolutely right. This was a slobber knocker. Both brought up really good points. Both really put some dings in the other person's arguments. Oh God, Sean had it for me for a long time, but then like right towards the end, Richard kind of swooped in and brought it even. I'm looking over my notes. I'm gonna go with Sean. I like the idea that of how it would kind of change the story of where the MCU is going versus the status where it would be versus Richard's argument.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And we're going to go over to Joe. Joe, what are your thoughts on this, and who is going to get the point for this round?
I am going to go with Sean for my point. The reason being, he brought up a really good argument in his closing how Red Hulk ends up becoming a hero and joining the Avengers. So it really wouldn't be that interesting. But with the leader, he stays a villain, so we would get more installments with him. And just where the trajectory of the MCU is going, that the leader makes more sense than the Red Hulk does because of who Ross is as the character and who Banner is as the character. So Sean's getting my vote.
All right, with that, Sean is going to get the point for this round. We're going to move on to question number 3. And Richard, got to pick up some ground here, buddy. You're in a little bit of a do or die situation. No pressure. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, question number 3. We're going to move on now. Let's see what happens with this one, folks. Your question is thus. With Arrow coming into its last season, what DC character should be added with their own show? So, since we started with Sean, the last question, we're going to go back over to Richard. Richard, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make an opening statement, and that clock will begin once you start talking. And once again, on this question, good luck to both competitors.
With Arrow leaving the Arrowverse, we need a show to make up the pace that's going to be set itself apart from the other Arrowverse television shows, from Supergirl, from Batwoman, from Legends of Tomorrow. So I have decided to go with Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle, he is a teenager from El Paso, Texas, who winds up finding a mystical scarab that envelops him in a suit, you can say, with a computerized alien technology named OMAC, which is, it's more of the lines of, it's not just Jaime Reyes being a hero, it's Jaime Reyes and OMAC, a computer entity, who can take control of Jaime Reyes, who wants to, when he first starts off, wants to obliterate everything, but Jaime Reyes pulls him back. He eventually tells OMAC Reyes to give him control, to distinguish good from wrong. This is the character we need. Someone also to set himself apart from other heroes. And I'm also going to put him on Supergirl's Earth, because the problem with the Arrowverse shows is, with the exception of Supergirl, all the other shows have been on Earth 1, on another Earth. It's only been Supergirl. I want another hero on Supergirl's Earth so we can see more interactions. So it wouldn't be just Earth 1 doing all the heavy lifting. It would be Earth 38 to also have some heavy hitters. And I will concede the rest of my time and go on to the rest of the argument.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate that. Going to go over to Sean. Sean, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and the clock will start once you begin talking.
I agree with Richard's opening statement in a state where we need something different. We need something that's going to set itself apart from the Arrowverse, something new, something exciting. And on top of Arrow leaving, we have another very big CW show leaving next year, and that is Supernatural. with Supernatural leaving, we need another show that's going to have a supernatural kind of element to it, because that is CW's bread and butter, Supernatural and superheroes. So why not have a show that combines both? And what I'm talking about is the show about the superhero named Deadman. Deadman is a ghost. He's formerly a circus trapeze artist named Boston Brand, who performed under the name Deadman. He's got a stage persona where he has a red costume, white corpse makeup, basically looking like a spirit. He's murdered in the process of one of his performances, and then his spirit is given the power to possess any living being by a Hindu god named Ramakrishna in order to search for his murderer and obtain justice. It is a perfect mix of the supernatural element that we're going to miss and leave with Supernatural, as well as bringing in a new force into the CW franchise. He's going to mix very well with the CW verse, as well as being something different and unique to the overall equation. This is a show that they've actually tried twice now to make a show, and it just fell apart. And now they're going to be able to force it up and bring it up to stream, and that's why I chose Deadman as the newest show to bring into the DC verse.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And you made your choices, made your opening statements. Now we're going to go to the main debate round. You're going to have up to 5 minutes of straight up debating. 5 minutes, and that time will start once someone starts talking. Good luck to both of you.
You just said it yourself. They tried it twice, and it didn't fall through because Deadman is not a standalone great hero. He's a fine hero, but the problem is you would have to have an actor be CGI the whole time, and it's not necessarily him. He has to go possess other people. So finding other people to be able to mimic his actions is just a distinct accent, physicality. It's a lot harder in the acting community. Deadman's a great choice, I think, if you put him with Legends of Tomorrow, because they do all that time travel, mythical, magical things. Like, they've had a Ghost episode. He would be a perfect fit, but not for a standalone film.
You hit the nail on the head for me. He has the ability to embody into other people's bodies, which means that every episode can be unique and different in their own way, bringing in different types of actors, different types of actresses. Diversity could be huge because he can jump into anybody at any given moment. Every episode has the ability to be different than the last and have different varieties. And he can also, like you said, mess with the legends because he's in Justice League Dark. That connects him to Constantine. It also connects him to Swamp Thing from the DC universe. So with Swamp Thing actually being canceled, which sucks, that gives a potential home that Swamp Thing could actually come into the CW verse and bring him home. So this is the one character that can connect the DC universe shows to the CW verse. Blue Beetle, how is this any different than Spider-Man, the Tick, Iron Man? It's a suit that wraps around a teenager and gives him special abilities.
Right there. It's not just a suit. Okay, you talking about it. It's not just a suit. It is an alien entity. It's working with him. It's an alien entity. It's not just Jaime Reyes being a hero. It's Jaime Reyes and OMAC. And not only do you have not only can this show go anywhere, it can go on Earth. It can go into space with the Reach, with the other Beetle Corps. You can bring in the other Blue Beetles before it. Dan Garrick, Ted Cord. Interactions. Deadman. The problem with Deadman is there's no stakes for Deadman because he is a ghost. Worst comes to worst, if the world would be destroyed, he would still be a ghost. There is no stakes for Deadman to actually, there's no risk involved for Deadman because he is a ghost. And also with the fact there's not a lot of things you can do with the show. The show would be super limited. Only thing Deadman would be able to do in the show is find his murderer, maybe become human again, and then decide not to be human again, become a ghost. There's not much you can do with Deadman as a singular show. Put him with the Legends. You can prolong Deadman's story with the Legends because it is a team show. They don't go with everyone. He would work great with the other Legends.
Cool. You tell me that this is about because of this mystical scarab. How does he find the scarab? Because Shazam fights Spectre in space. Are you going to recast Shazam, or are you going to try to connect us to the world?
Okay, first of all these shows from the Arrowverse, they take inspiration from the comics. They don't go comic by comic, as seen in Arrow, where he doesn't end up with the Black Canary, ends up with Felicity. You can make it with Supergirl. A guy fighting Supergirl drops a scarab. That's why I'm having it on Supergirl's Earth.
Stories involves Batman. You're gonna have to recast Batman. You're gonna force Batwoman in that situation because it doesn't work quite as well. He is no different than Spider-Man in an Iron Man suit. It is another teenager who just doesn't, who's basically letting even though it's alien, it's a suit of armor that gives him special abilities, and that's helping him basically do everything. It's basically another version of a Spider-Man, but in DC. We've seen it. It's not different. It's not new, and it's not unique. We've seen it before, multiple times. Deadman is something different. It's unique, and it's something that we have not seen before in the DC verse or even as a show. It failed twice, not because it wasn't going to work. It's because of scheduling and money and stuff like that.
No,
now,
because
people have more money the way they work now. It'll work. And yeah, you just said, what's he going to do besides hiding or finding his mirror? Yeah, you're telling me a great season 1. And then he decides to do other things. You can expand the show. Arrow expanded past.
Deadman will not work as a single show. Again, there's not much stakes. He is a literal ghost. There is no stakes for the character. He is a ghost. There is nothing that can harm him as a ghost. And no actor will want to be a CGI character and not even see himself because he is a pale white dude in a suit when he's a ghost. That means there is no actor who would want to be that character CGI for the majority. And how much money is that going to cost where it's going to be a constant CGI show? Whereas Blue Beetle,
Martian Manhunter. He can take
he's barely the Martian Manhunter in Supergirl. They spread it out
and then they give him a human form.
For Deadman, he is a ghost for the majority of the show, besides the fact when he is possessing.
He can reanimate dead corpses. He can literally find a corpse that he likes and stays in that one to be the physical form. If you wanted him to stay maintained in a personal person, he can do that. That's the same thing with Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter, they found a physical version.
Time.
Well, that was intense. Anywho, we're going to move on to closing arguments. Going to go over to Richard. Richard, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to wrap this thing up in a nice, pretty bow, and those 60 seconds will begin once you start talking.
Deadman is a better fit for Legends of Tomorrow. Deadman cannot sustain, if anything, maybe a 2 to 3 season show. There is not much stakes. There is not much you can do with Deadman on a singularity alone. You put him with the Legends of Tomorrow. It's a group effort. You can keep him on 4 or 5 seasons because it wouldn't be just about Deadman. Blue Beetle, there is endless possibilities you can do with Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle. You can have him go to Earth, dealing with the suit, dealing with the intelligence that's inside of him. You can go into space, about the Reach with the other Beetles. You can have the scene in the crossover where the OMAC takes control of Jaime Reyes. And that could be a great crossover event with Jaime Reyes. Deadman, there is no actor that would want to be just the voice in CGI when now you get to see his face. There's too much, not enough probably capable actors who can mimic and personify that version of the character. Blue Beetle is the best choice. It's the most you can get out of a season. It's the most you can do. It's way more better if we can.
All right. Going to go over to Sean. Sean, you have up to 60 seconds to make your closing argument, and that time will begin once you start talking.
You're saying no actor wants to be the voice. There are tons of actors who would die to have that kind of a role. Whether it's a voice or not, it's a foot in the door for some actors who literally are not being able to put on screen. There are some actors that are just good as voices and should not be on camera. This is the role for them. Plus, even when he's in full Deadman form, you just got to put him in white makeup. He doesn't have to be CG. Blue Beetle will just be another generic teenage superhero show that we have seen over and over and over again. Deadman is something different. It's unique. He connects to Constantine, which gives him to the Legends. He connects with Swamp Thing, which could potentially give a new home for Swamp Thing. You can make it a procedural crime show after he eventually finds the murderers if he wants, to keep it different and variety going through. Because he connects with multiple heroes, it comes up with different versions that he can have with the shows. He can connect with Flash if you want to. He can go to, well, Arrow's ending, but he can connect to some of the characters that are in Arrow that are no longer going to be a part of the Arrow show to bring them in. Deadman offers a more open variety to connect to everything in the CW verse, as well as the DC Universe shows that Blue Beetle cannot and probably will not do.
Yeah, that was fun.
That is one way to describe it, young man, but I'm going to say this. My goodness, the sweat just continues to drop on this nerd fight floor. I need to catch my breath. Joe, we're going to go to you first. I need to hear your thoughts on this one because this was really close, very, very close by both competitors. But what happened? Who's going to get the point in your mind? Your thoughts.
Well, first I need to go check on the cattle because the barn is a burning, everybody. But it was a really good fight. I feel like I'm gonna kind of be a broken record. John's going to get my point for the fact of in his closing, Rod Richards' main argument was the fact that there it was low stakes and that a lot of people would want this role. But then Sean brought up, however, there are some voice actors who would really want the role. It doesn't need to be CGI, and that even with the low stakes, after he finds his murderer, we can get more in the world of him searching for it, and he can bring in other characters from the CW verse with stuff that they have going on. And for that reason, I'm going to go with Sean for this one.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. I will go next on this one. Wow. This was like, what's the expression? You were like right at the razor's edge. Both of you guys just kept pushing and get going to that edge, man. But man, ever so slightly, it's just something about his argument that convinced me to a certain extent. I'm actually going to go with Richard on this one. I'm going to give my point to Richard. It's just something about the character and where they could potentially go with the series. It just kind of sold it for me just a hair, just a little bit more than what Sean was getting at. But Sean, really, really close, man. This thing was neck and neck pretty much the whole gosh darn time. So to not put any extra pressure on our fellow judge over here, that would be Andrew.
Too
Andrew,
late.
you gotta, I know, man, but you gotta break the tie here. Who is gonna get the point and who's gonna win this question? What are your thoughts on this particular debate?
These are the kind of fights I love. There was so much passion behind it. I think that they both gave really good arguments. I like both of their ideas, but I am also going to just by the slimmest of margins give it to Richard. He brought up the lack of stakes that the show would allow. Sean didn't really tackle it until like just at the end of his closing argument, and that's something really important to any storytelling at all. Or is the stakes. So I'm going to give it to Richard.
All right, Richard is back in this thing. The score is now 2-1 going into question number 4. And also, just to remind both competitors, you do have the option to use a 1-minute extension, whether it be on your opening statement or your closing statement. Neither competitor has used it thus far. Will they use it in the next question? We don't know. Only time will tell. But question number 4, we're going to move into this thing. And that question is thus: best fantasy film of the 1990s. Best fantasy film of the 1990s. Going to go over to Sean on this one. Sean, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and that clock will begin once you start talking.
When I think of 90s fantasy, I don't try to think of stuff that remember, it's like, Lord of the Rings or Neverending Story or Willow, stuff like that. I think it's something that I want to be a part of this world. If this was something that ended up becoming true, I would love to be a part of it. I would want to be in this world with these people. And there's one movie to me that stands above the rest because of how I felt for it as a child. It's the one movie that I always continually go to, makes me just feel good watching it. And it's the one movie that no matter how many times I see it, it just makes me feel like a kid again. And that is Jurassic Park. I'm a huge dinosaur fan. I love dinosaurs in general. I was always that kid that corrected the teachers whenever they said the dinosaur's names wrong in class. And Jurassic Park is the end-all be-all for me when it comes to a fantasy kind of film. I want to be in that world. I want to go to Jurassic Park. When I hear that music, the da-na-na-na, it just brings me home. And that is why, for me, Jurassic Park is one of the best, if not the best, in terms of fantasy. And there's nothing more that I would rather do than to go to Isla Nublar or Isla Sorna and see a T-Rex. Whether or not I get eaten, I don't care. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out getting killed by a dinosaur. And that is the best way to die.
All right. Intriguing pick, young sir. We're going to go over to Richard. Richard, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and that clock will officially begin once you start talking.
Fantasy is defined as the faculty of activity or imagining, especially the things that are impossible or improbable. Fantasy, when I come to mind, is childhood. fantasies, childhood that brings back my childhood. And what movie that brought me back to my childhood, what brings me back to my childhood is Jumanji. Jumanji, starring Robin Williams, about a boy from 1969 playing a game with a girl that he liked, ends up being trapped in a Jumanji board game for 26 years until two new kids find the game, play the game, haven't reemerged. It is one of the most epic fantasy story tales. It was funny, it was clever, it had heart, it had beautiful images, and it will stand the test of time. It still holds up today, and I will go more into the arguments right now because I can see the rest of my time.
Oh my goodness gracious, man! You want to talk about Battle of the '90s, ladies and gentlemen? This is pure '90s flavor, and I'm loving every second of it. And we haven't even gotten to the meat of this burger, which is the 5 minutes worth of debate. Now, gentlemen, you're gonna have up to 5 minutes to debate this question out. So it's the Battle of the Jays, I would say, Jurassic Park versus Jumanji. In this case, life finds a way to have this debate. So, gentlemen, 5 minutes. Let's make it good. The clock will start once a competitor starts talking. Have fun, gentlemen.
I'll let you go first, Sean.
Okay. Oh,
No,
you
I'll
want
let you go first. Yeah.
When you say childhood fantasy, who as a child doesn't want dinosaurs? Who doesn't play with dinosaurs? Who doesn't want to be around dinosaurs? When you describe a childhood fantasy like you did in your opener, that says Jurassic Park, not board games. Yeah, board games are fun, and I had fun with them when I was a kid, and I can still play them today. But every child loved and wanted to have a dinosaur.
Not necessarily saying that not every kid wanted dinosaurs. A lot of them, especially in these days, it's extinct. No one really cares about dinosaur movies these days. The unfortunate thing about Jurassic Park, as I rewatched it last night, it really does not hold up. The acting does not hold up. It's a very monotone facial expressions for the majority of the cast. Sam Neill is monotone for the majority of the movie. The only time he ever shows any kind of emotion and fun is when he's being faked electrocuted on the fence, and that is about it.
So when he sees the Brachiosaurus for the very first time, that's monotone acting.
He's like this.
When he sees it walking for the first time and he sees a real life dinosaur and he's in complete shock and awe, that is monotone acting? Are you serious? Talk about monotone acting. Jumanji is like just everyone in that movie is not a good actor except for Robin Williams, but he's just doing the typical Robin Williams, which if for that, I give you Jeff Goldblum, everybody.
Jeff Goldblum was playing a Jeff Goldblum actor, and not even his best Jeff Goldblum actor. No.
Beautifully. Tell me, how many iconic quotes are there from Jumanji? Can you name me one? Can you give me one quote from Jumanji?
You wrestled an alligator for me. And Jumanji.
The name of the movie? Okay, welcome to Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts.
Dude, your movie basically felt like, oh, hey, we have a Jurassic Park ride coming to Universal Studios. Let's just make a movie so we can explain what this ride's going to be. Halfway through, the majority of your movie was just sitting there explaining about dinosaurs. It is really boring for the most part.
Boring? Tell that to the box office where it made 1.02 billion worldwide. Your movie didn't even pass 3 billion or 3 million worldwide. Your movie is not even considered a success. It is, yeah, it made good money, but critically, it's not very high. Audience ratings, not very high. Jurassic Park is beloved. It is loved. It started multiple franchises. Yeah, it's got rides. Is there a Jumanji ride? No. Are there Jumanji toys? No.
Yes, there is a Jumanji toy. There is a Jumanji board game. That is a toy. That is a board game.
Board game. There are
and your Jurassic Park has spawned off crap. Jurassic Park 1 is the only decent film out of your franchise. I have two strong Jumanji movies alone.
Jumanji 2 had to completely change the whole surface of the franchise because that franchise was not good. So they completely changed.
It changed the mold because it adapted to modern day work. Modern day is all about video games.
Changed the modern day work because dinosaurs always works. And people are tired of dinosaurs now. Tell that to the franchises going on. Jurassic World is one of the top selling box offices of openers of all time. Jumanji's not even on the surface. Yeah, the last movie was good, but that's because it was a great cast, not because Jumanji itself works. Jumanji, the original film, I'm not going to attack the other one because that's not a part of this argument. Jumanji itself, take Robin Williams out of the movie. That movie's not a fun movie. That movie's not exciting. That movie is dreary, dry.
It is. Okay, hold on. You take Robin Williams out of the movie. You have 3 people having to play a game to finish the game. If not, their world will be destroyed by these creatures, by these animals. And by the way, hold on. Jonathan Hyde played a very good father figure role. He played a very good villain in Van Pet. There was Robin Williams saying he's all goofy and stuff. He is a kid who literally got sucked into the Jumanji game, grew up in the Jumanji world. He had no parental figures around him to grow up. So he played the perfect child figure. And if we're going to the world of fantasy, yes, your movie is fantasy because it involves dinosaurs. But it's not improbable. If dinosaurs existed in this world, they would have done exactly what they had done. If they would have rampaged the people, and kill all these people. There's nothing impossible about that. That's what dinosaurs would have done in that scene. There is no way that board game would come to life in real life. That's the fantasy aspect. It's not the best movie. It's the best fantasy movie. And your movie may be the best movie, but mine is the best 90s fantasy movie. The fantasy aspect
wouldn't even be ranked in the top 10 fantasy movies of 1990. My film is ranked as one of the best movies of all time. It is in those rankings.
Oh my goodness, boy. Alrighty, good job by both competitors. My gosh, this match has been incredible yet exhausting at the same time. And I'm just sitting here hosting the show and being one of the co-judges. Gee willikers, my job is tough, folks. But anyway, we're gonna go into closing arguments on this particular question. So we're going to go to, I believe it was Sean. Sean, I think you went first. Is that right? I just want to make sure I'm doing that.
Yeah, Sean went first.
Okay, so Sean, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to wrap this up in a nice, pretty bow, and those 60 seconds will begin once you start talking.
When you think of the best 90s film, it is the best overall film in general. It's a movie that you go back to. It's a movie that you repeat watching. It's a movie that you constantly think about. Up until they brought Jumanji back, I didn't think about the original Jumanji ever after I initially saw it. Jurassic Park's got a phenomenal score with John Williams. It's got a fantastic director in Steven Spielberg. Great cast, amazing story. Every aspect of a film that you would want is in Jurassic Park. It's got horror, comedy, action, thriller, suspense, drama, and of course, dinosaurs. It spawned 5, soon to be 5 movies. It's got tons of merchandise. It's got all this stuff. It's got a phenomenal story. And it is the one thing that you can look to a fantastic film from beginning to end. Jumanji, it's dreary. It's sad. Yeah, Robin Williams is great, but he's just playing Robin Williams. You attack Jeff Goldblum for just being Jeff Goldblum. Robin Williams is basically doing the exact same thing. He's playing a childlike character, which is what Robin Williams did. The best thing about Jurassic Park is that it brings you back to rewatching it. It is very watchable. It's fun to watch for all ages. And the song, like I said, da-na-na, welcome
Time.
to Jurassic Park.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Sean, going to go over to Richard now. Richard,
I'm going to add a minute to my closing.
Okay, you are. All right. So we're going to add a minute to Richard's time for his closing statement. Joe, make sure you have that on your timer there. Thank you so much, good sir. Richard, you're going to have up to now 2 minutes. Take it 2 minutes. That's right. To make your closing arguments, and those 2 minutes are going to start once you start talking. The floor is yours.
Again, we are not talking about the best movie. We're talking about the best fantasy movie. Fantasy aspects. If dinosaurs in Jurassic Park would have existed today, they would have done exactly what they would have done in that movie. There's nothing fantastical about that in the everyday life. They were just dinosaurs. They weren't even different types of dinosaurs. Like, at least in Jurassic World, there were hybrids of different dinosaurs that couldn't exist being genetically hybrid. Jumanji had the classic, he had the humor, it had the heart. And you're talking about Robin Williams was just playing a child character? Well, that was the point of the movie. He was a kid trapped in the Jumanji world. So Robin Williams playing as a kid, the fact that he was technically a kid, just as an adult, because he didn't have the adult surroundings in the movie, makes it more plausible. Jeff Goldblum was supposed to be kind of a cool scientist, kind of playboy guy, and he just came off as just a Jeff Goldblum, just another character that another character that we've seen before. Sam Jackson didn't do anything in that movie. Like, when you think of Sam Jackson, you think of Pulp Fiction. He was boring. Wayne Knight was just like, it was Wayne Knight just playing like Wayne Knight from Seinfeld, like his character in Seinfeld. Jumanji had the better fantasy aspect, which is the point of the question, is the best fantasy aspect of the board game coming to life. And you're saying, yeah, mine doesn't need the quips or the theme songs. It had the imagery. And when that final Jumanji hit, when Robin Williams screamed Jumanji when the game was over, he was able to go back to his timeline, knowing that he had a second chance to live out his childhood, to have a second chance with his father, which was such a great dynamic. After, if you know it, he also played, the actor who played the father also played the villain, which could have been another aspect of Robin Williams taking on his father, even though he's kind of considered the villain. Jurassic Park, as fun as the film is, the majority of the film was just looking at dinosaurs. Nothing action happened to like the last hour. The acting does not hold up in Jurassic Park today. It was a very mugging performance, and by the time the kids were annoying.
The closing arguments have concluded. We're going to go over to our judges panel. Andrew, this was another interesting question. We made you break the tie last time. We're going to let you go first on this one. Andrew, what do you think about this one?
Oh, jeez. Okay, so when I heard the answers, I was kind of like, well, this will be interesting to see how one person argues. And honestly, they both did a great job arguing. They both, once again, this is a great match, you two, by the way. Great match. Oh, God. I thought for sure that I was going to start leaning Jurassic Park when this match started. Richard made a really good closing argument, though. You know what? Honestly, because of Richard's definition of the word fantasy, I'm going to give it to Richard. I think that was a really smart move on his behalf to use the technical definition of the word fantasy. So I'm going to give it to Richard.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, good sir. Appreciate that. And, oh boy. I'll go ahead and go next on this one. But man, this was such a good arguments by both competitors. It's just something about it. Something about some of the, just a few of the points that, what was it? Sean brought up, kind of just slightly put it over the edge for me. So just by the sleight of hairs, I'm going to give it to Sean on this one. So Joe, no pressure, man, but you got to break the tie on this one. Who is going to get the point, and who do you think put up the better debate in this one?
This was probably one of the toughest round for me personally. Both of these guys had a real passion for these films and both brought up solid arguments. But in the end, even though Richard said the question was best fantasy film, not best film, I think when he even said that Jurassic Park was a better film, that kind of hurt him a little bit. And then Sean bringing up what his film has, and also how the dreariness and how a fantasy kind of, you want to be in that world. And Richard never really said that he wanted to be in the world of Jumanji, that I really heard. So Sean just gave me more about why it was a better fantasy film and the fantasy of it. And so with that, I have to go with Sean.
All right, with that being said, and your winner, Sean Wasserkrug. Congratulations to Sean. Congratulations to Richard. Both competitors making their debut in this brand new division of ours known as Nerd Fights did a really good job. Both of you competitors should be happy with yourselves. You deserve a pat on the back. Our hats are off to you, good sirs. Congratulations to Sean. We're going to go over to post-game interviews right now. And going to our winner, Sean, coming into this thing. This is a new division. This is a new cup of tea for you. How do you feel about your performance tonight? And once again, congratulations on your victory. And what are you looking forward to next, moving on with Nerd Fights?
Thanks. Thanks for having me a part of this, first off. I didn't think I was going to get chosen for this tournament. It was an honor to be a part of this. Richard, fantastic match, man. I will argue with you any day of the week in a nice fashion, in a fight. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I can't wait to see where I go from here, what new questions I gotta try to come up with and learn to argue. These questions, when I first got them, I was like, oh damn, this is gonna be kind of tough. But yeah, I liked Richard's answers. I liked how he battled back and forth. I thought it was a good balance between us. And if I was a judge, I would have had a hard time as well. So I had a lot of fun doing this, and I had a great opponent, and I can't wait to see what comes next.
All right. Thank you very much. Good sir. Once again, congratulations on your victory. Look forward to seeing what you do next in this new division of ours known as Nerd Fights. We're going to go over to our second place finisher right now. Richard, what are your thoughts on your performance in this matchup, and what are you looking forward to next with Nerd Fights?
Oh, I mean, first of all, congratulations, Sean. You played one hell of a match. I had a blast. I can't wait to come back in here whenever I get the chance to. It was a great time. I just I almost battled back, though I do disagree with one of my opinion. I thought I had another one of the questions. Not going to say which one, but Sean put up a hell of a fight. Like my biggest weakness in this is be able to come up with the right words at the right time. And that's going to be something. It was a fun match. I look forward to it. I almost came back. I look forward to come back. I can't wait to see Sean to dominate the rest of this tournament. And I wish Sean nothing but the best. And thank you guys for the judges. You guys were awesome judges. You guys had perfect judging on that.
Thank you very much, Richard. Wish you the best of luck. And just a quick sidebar here for you, Sean. We just found out from the powers that be, aka the commissioner's office, he has stated that you're going to be playing Tony Heald next for your next matchup in Nerd Fight. So we look forward to seeing what happens with that. Wish you as well as your opponent the best of luck in their upcoming match. Look forward to seeing what Richard does when he returns to Nerd Fights once this tournament has concluded, get some more regular matches on the card, and so on and so forth. Real quick before we wrap everything up and get on out of here and find out what's next in our great journey known as life, we're going to go to quick plugs. Going to go to our winner first. Sean, where could the good people find you on the internet, my man?
I got my own movie review show called Sean's Movie Crusades. That's what you see behind me on the TV screen there. You can also follow me on Twitter at S Movie Crusades, also on Facebook and Sean's Movie Crusades, and also Letterboxd S Movie Crusades, and Instagram Sean's Movie Crusades as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, good sir. And Richard, where can the good people find you on the interwebs, my man?
Oh, they can find me on Facebook under Richard Schwartz. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter under External Void, where I do mobile WWE gaming. And you can find me driving around LA because I got nothing better else to do.
Oh, man. Alrighty, my man. Joe, where can the good people find you on the interwebs?
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube is all Joe Hipsterson. Yeah.
Fabulous. Straight to the point. I like it. Andrew James Barr, one of the coolest names we've heard on the internet in a very long time. Where can the good people of this planet find you, good sir, on the interwebs?
Being completely flattered by your kindness, Ryan. I'm still not on Instagram. I'm still not on Twitter, but you can find me on Facebook, and I am on Letterboxd if you want to hear me my opinions on movies.
Fabulous. And I am your host and lead judge for this particular matchup tonight of Nerd Fights. My name is Ryan. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Also find me on Facebook at Ryan Permison, that's PERMISON _aspiring movie critic. Make sure to follow me on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/Ryan Movie Buff. I know it's not the most original handle, but it's the best I could come up with in the last 2 seconds of my day. Also, make sure to check us out on the Nerd Fights, all the other divisions that we have around here on this channel. If this is your first time watching and you enjoy this, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. We got a lot more matches coming your way very, very soon. Thank you all so much for joining us. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, all that good stuff, and we hope to see you next time.